hi again. I haven't recorded in so long and I'm really sorry. I actually haven't been very well for a while, which has been pretty horrible, but I'm definitely on the mend now. And I shared this on Instagram this week, which I kind of hate that I'm gonna say, but I am gonna say it anyway because I know what eating disorder brains can do. And that's that I haven't lost any weight whilst I've been ill. Actually, I gained weight, which is fine. But I certainly in my eating disorder had this like weird expectation hanging over me, or this belief that like when I was ill, I was supposed to lose weight, or like when people are ill, they must go off their food, which is bullshit and you don't need to. And also I think that eating disorder brain can hear that someone else is ill and then be like, oh my God, I wonder if they haven't been eating, maybe I should eat less, or I don't know, some weird comparison thing. So I kind of don't want to have to share that, but at the same time, I kind of do know what happens in the head, so I'll just share it anyway. So I got a question on the last video I posted, which is what this video is now going to be about. I know you've made a video on body comparison before, but is it possible you plan to talk about it again? I've been weight restored for nearly a year now, but my body comparison seems to be getting worse and worse despite my best efforts. Did you ever experience this and did it ever stop? And then as a PS, which I love, I ate an order of fried pickles today after my dinner because I was still hungry. No sharing or substitutes. I feel like crying because I'm also so happy that I could even do it despite it breaking almost all my food rules. Just thought I'd share a success that felt like a feel shit and do it anyway moment. Good for you. I feel like just keep doing that again and again and that'll just become your new norm. So loads of things came to my mind around body comparison, which I've like learned in treatment or from Instagram, from other people, or just that have like really resonated with me. So I thought I could share a couple of those and then maybe there'll be one that might work for you. I think the thing which helps me the most out of anything is if I catch myself comparing to another person, is just remembering that they're not me. Which sounds really obvious, but like reminding myself that we've got different bodies, we're on different paths. Everything about us is different, so like I can't compare me to them. It's like comparing my orange to their apple. It's an invalid comparison. And you might not know anything about the other person either. Like you don't know what's going on in their head. Maybe they've got something difficult going on in their life. They've got like stress, anxiety, depression. They might have like a chronic or terminal illness. They could be yo-yo dieting. They could have an eating disorder. Like you don't know why someone is the size that they are. But also like that's not to say, oh, they're probably that size because of this. Like they might just naturally be that size. Naturally, they could exist in a body which is smaller than your natural body size. But either way, whichever one of those things it is, like whether there's a reason behind it or whether it's natural to them, it doesn't matter. Like it's not you and it's not your body and it never will be. And that used to really like get to me when I saw people that were naturally smaller. I used to think, my God, to have that body type, that would take so much work and effort and life sacrifice for me. That like really bugged me and I was like, but that's not fair. Like, no, I'm not having that. But I think in the end, I kind of just realized like, it doesn't matter how much I hate it or it annoys me, like it just is. I'm never gonna naturally exist in any body other than the body that I've been born into. And I would have to give up like relationships, personality, spontaneity, freedom in my head. Like I'd have to go back to thinking about food all the time if I wanted to control my body to be smaller than it is naturally supposed to be. Look at Beyonce. Yeah, I just think you are going to be a you-sized you, I'm going to be a Meg-sized Meg. So it's just like stick to your own lane really, and remember like different bodies, different paths. It doesn't matter what shape or size somebody else is or why they're that shape or size. Really, it's irrelevant. Like you're never going to have the option to be that person. They're already taken. Just really going for this cleaning. I quite like to think of body diversity in relation to dogs. Like if I look at Bertie with all of his pals, they're all so different and we just accept it. Like some have got short hair, some are dead fluffy, some are lean, some are muscly, some are tiny, some are bigger than him. Like this is Mango, she's bigger than him. We'd never say to Mango like, oh, you need to shrink down because you're bigger than Bert. And then when we go to the dog park, like they're all just born into such different bodies and they're not like good or bad because of it. They just are. And we don't compare them or try and change them into each other. Like, we just accept it. So this morning I booked a massage for myself and then started editing this video and kind of lost track of time, and I'm actually really rushed to try and have my lunch before I get to the massage. And I didn't get bread out of the freezer, so yeah, I need to like really quickly make my lunch. But I wanted to show it because this is the lunch I've been having pretty much every day whilst I've been ill. And again, to like make that point of like, there is no expectation or requirement on you if you're ill or going through anything to not eat. And it doesn't matter what somebody else is doing or what people are asking you or anything, like just stick to your own lane. You do you, different paths, different bodies. Different bodies, different paths. These vine potatoes, oh my god, these vine tomatoes are so delicious. I actually don't like this whole meal bread all that much. I much prefer the whole grain. Is that what it's called? Yeah, whole grain. But we're only left with the shitty end bits of that, and I'm in a rush, so needs must. I've been absolutely loving mango chutney, grated cheddar and tomato sandwiches. I hope there's enough cheese actually. If not, I've got another one in the fridge. And actually I'm in such a rush. I think I'm gonna need to take this and eat it in the car. That's not gonna fit. Right, massage time. I always find when I come out of a massage, I feel like so peaceful and like rejuvenated, really like, oh my god, I must be absolutely glowing. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, what the sh? I'm just having a lie down because I've got like a headache there, literally just under that little bit in my eye, so I might have a nap in a minute. Something I remember from my treatment when I was younger is that a lot of the body image type work tended to be focused on like my body distortion or proving that what I was seeing was a body distortion. But I don't always find that approach that helpful because I feel like it's almost trying to reassure you like, oh, don't worry, you are the smallest, you're just seeing that something distorted. You just got dysmorphia, which of course you may well have and lots of people do, but I don't know, I feel like it's telling you like you still need to be the smallest, or that there's something wrong with not being. And I feel like that's what we should be changing and reframing, is like, so what? There's so much more to life and there's so much more to you, and you've got so much more to give this world than being the smallest in it. And like, maybe you will be the smallest, maybe you won't, like it doesn't matter. And then at different stages in your recovery, you might not be the smallest, or at different stages in your life, or you move into a different room. Like, so I think like accepting that I won't always be the smallest person, but knowing that that's okay, and there's a lot more to me than just a body, has been like a much better message. This book's really good on, well, on exactly that topic, the fact that we're more than a body. Like, it focuses on how like your body is an instrument, not an ornament. And this, like, positive body image isn't believing your body looks good, it's knowing your body is good regardless of how it looks. So I haven't finished it yet, but I really, really like it. And one of my favourite quotes so far is something like, I'm not here to bring, no wait, I'm here to bring light into this world, not to decorate it. And it focuses as well on like how the ideal body type is kind of created and like it changes over time based on like industries, fashions, social media. And there's a really good post from someone I follow on Instagram, Alex Light London. It's like AlexLight_LDN, and she did a like body types and how they changed through the decades. Her account's actually great. Yeah, she does loads of posts on like body diversity, showing different women wearing the same item of clothing in the same size to show how like different body types are. Also showing like women that weigh the same but look completely different. Like, yeah, it's a very like body diverse account. I really love it. But yeah, if you look at like body fashions in the 90s, it was this like drug addict Kate Moss look, up to now this kind of like Kim Kardashian inspired crazy curvy body of like tiny weeny waist with big bum. And it's not only bodies, like the eyebrow trend has changed in the last couple of decades. Like in the noughties, it used to be like you'd pluck your eyebrows loads, and now like bushier eyebrows are fashionable, and same with beards. It used to be like a clean shave in the 90s and noughties, and now like a big bushy beard's fashionable. Like eyebrows, okay, so I did used to pluck my eyebrows and now I don't. I've actually had them microbladed, which cost about like 100 quid, and then I use like an eyebrow pencil. So it hasn't like cost me too much, very little impact on my life. Like it hasn't impaired my relationships or my emotions or my mental health. But your body is a completely different story. Like changing your body to fit these fashions, like a fashionable body, comes at such a huge cost to your life. Like if I want to get that Kate Moss type look, I'd have to starve myself. And with that will then come like incessant thoughts of food, no personality, I'll be boring, rigid, my relationships will suffer, no spontaneity. Or then to try and get this like Kardashian style body. Like I actually don't even think the Kardashian body is obtainable for me, because I'm just not built that way. Like I'm not a curvy person, and to get a teeny tiny waist, like I then wouldn't have a bum. And then if I got the bum, my waist wouldn't be small enough. Like it's not a feasible body type for me. I feel like it's only a really small minority of people that will ever naturally fit that like idealized body type. And like by naturally, I mean like with very little effort, no cost to your life, no sacrifice, you know? And like lucky bastards, good for them. They can do it without any effort. But for other people to manipulate their body into a shape that it's not naturally supposed to be comes at like a huge life cost. If it's even obtainable at all, to be honest, like for me, that kind of Kardashian body, it's just not really an option. So I feel like we're sold, or we buy into these body ideals as like something that's going to make us happy and something that's obtainable for us, but it actually might not be obtainable at all, or if it is obtainable, like at what cost? And then are you really going to be happy when you get there if you've had to sacrifice like your soul and your life to do it? So that's why I really love this book. Like literally this page, your beauty is not your life's work. That sounds so obvious, but like actually if all your energy, attention, headspace, thoughts, planning, everything is directed at your body, like effectively your body is your life's work. Yeah, I really love it. So More Than a Body, and on Instagram they're called Beauty Redefined. Alexa, set timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
I'm having like a really lazy day today. Still feeling a bit blurt and just like tired and stuff, so basically just been lying on the sofa watching TV with the animals. I watched Hollington Drive, which is a new like thriller drama on ITV, and Gogglebox. I also really randomly decided to bake a banana loaf. I went over to a friend's house one morning this week for a coffee, and she had these like banana muffins baked, and she gave me one. It was so nice. I was like, oh, I'm gonna bake one of them. And actually this girl was fasting when I went over, so she didn't eat one. I was like, poor you. I'd already had breakfast and then had this cake, but again, comparison, like it's irrelevant, different bodies, different paths. I had to bake it in a saucepan because I don't bake very often, so I don't actually have any baking utensils. So it's a bit flat, but seems to have worked okay. Bosh. Whilst I was ill, I kept trying different books and I just had zero attention span. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh God. This one's actually the next book for book club. So I think I'll try that. I wonder if as well with like comparison, there are certain people who you compare more to than others, like maybe a colleague or a friend, a sister, a sibling, a cousin, which I think is quite common to almost like fixate on certain people. I definitely used to do it. I think remembering like different bodies, different paths is so helpful because it's just such an irrelevant comparison. And if part of your life experience has been restrictive eating and now you're recovering from that, like you can't compare your food needs to anybody. Like if there are people in your family who like, I don't know, leave bits of food on their plate and you're staring at it like, how can you leave food because all you want to do is like clean everybody's plate? Like you just can't compare yourself like that because you've got such different needs and you're in such different places. And like if the other people in your family had been through what you'd been through, they'd feel the same. Like they'd feel as crazy around food, or they'd feel like they wanted to eat food off everybody else's plate or eat their dinner 8 times over. Like you can't compare to someone else and feel abnormal because it's not you that's abnormal, it's your situation. Like, it's the recovering from restriction and starvation. Or even if you've got like friends in school, or like my friend who fasts, like some people do just have really weird eating habits, but I can't compare myself to that. Like, we're on different paths in life, and maybe fasting works for her, maybe it doesn't, but whatever, it's irrelevant. Like, it would not work for me. So yeah, well, I guess that's comparison to food, but still, like, food or bodies, if there are people that you fixate on, I really think remembering you have a different body, you're on a different path, can be so helpful. And like, just stick to your own lane. You do you. Another thing, actually, when I was making this cake, in the recipe it said about the sugar, like, either use, what was it, half a cup if you don't like it too sweet, or a full cup if you do like it too sweet, or a third of a cup if, I don't even know what it said. But it reminded me of like, oh my god, if I was making this in my like eating disorder days, I would have found it so difficult, like, deciding what ingredients to put in. And actually, even if the recipe didn't give me an option, I still remember really struggling making things and using ingredients properly, because my eating disorder thoughts would just fire up, like, oh, you don't really need that, are you sure you need a full cup of that, why don't you use less of that, why don't you substitute this for that? And then I'd end up with like a really shitty version of a cake. I'd be making like apple crumble and I'd end up with just like apple. I think in the end I used like 3/4 of a cup of sugar, because I was like, I do like things quite sweet. It tastes fine, but I didn't record myself making it because I couldn't be bothered. But maybe that would be helpful for a video, like making meals, following recipes, and using all the ingredients and not leaving things out, which I can do fine now, but definitely in the past I struggled. And I think how I overcame it was just like blocking the eating disorder thoughts when they came in, and just being like, opposite actions, use the full thing of sugar or use the proper ingredients, whatever. Right, I'm gonna read my book. There's a dog going crazy out there and it's sending Bertie wild. But I didn't get on very well reading. I still can't concentrate and I'm getting a bit of a headache, so I'm just going to come and watch some more TV instead. I haven't rewatched the other video I did about body comparison, so I'm not quite sure what I spoke about in it, but I probably shared the stuff I learned in treatment about like the biased ways in which we compare. My psychologist taught me about two kinds of biases. One is the subject bias, which is you like zone in on certain body types. So you neglect the fact that there's so much body diversity across the whole population, and all you see is like that one type of body that you kind of fixate on. So like a skinny body or a toned body or someone with abs or whatever it is, and you just see that and then you're like, oh my god, everybody's beautiful, that's what I have to look like, totally neglecting the fact that that's like 0. whatever% of the population, and in reality there's all sorts of body diversity. And then the next one is the assessment bias, which is how you look at a body. So you like zone in on certain body parts, again, which you're like fixated on, and you neglect the fact that this person is a whole 3-dimensional, multifaceted person, because you've reduced them down to like just a set of legs or just a set of abs. So my psychologist taught me to like notice when I had these like biases or filters at play, and if it was the subject bias, so I'm like just spotting one type of person, I have to stop and force myself to look at like 3 other bodies around me to remind myself that body diversity exists. Or say I'm in a room that's not particularly diverse, like just mentally remind myself body diversity exists, remind myself of dogs, just remind myself that the whole world is not one specific body type and there isn't an expectation for me to be that. And same with the assessment bias, like zoom my lens out if I'm focusing in on one certain body part. So like step back, take the person in as a whole, see them as a whole body, and also see them as more than a body. Like the book, like person is not a set of legs, they're not a set of abs, they're not even just a full body, like they've got emotions and relationships. Oh, Bertie! That really made me jump. Bertie! I think that dog's back again. Yeah, they've got like insecurities, flaws, imperfections. Bertie! Chill out, man. Bertie!
30. What is it? Who's out there?
I can't really remember what I was saying now.
Hey Stevie. What do you think, darling?
With the body parts thing, you almost treat people like a Mr. Potato Head. Like, you take like, oh, well, that person's got perfect hair, that person's got perfect legs, that person's got perfect arms or waist or bum or whatever. And you take all these little features from different people and then like mash it all together into one person, or like one Mr. Potato Head. And then that Mr. Potato Head is like your expectation for yourself, which is ridiculous. You're human, you're not a work of art. And most people don't fit this absolutely perfect Mr. Potato Head. So why should you? Like, why should I? Why should I be an exception to body diversity? So I didn't manage to finish the video yesterday. I think Bren came home, he'd been out all day playing football and golf, and we had dinner together. We had chicken and creme fraiche sauce with quinoa and veg. Yeah, see if it's on. I think I've completed the TV today. Completed it, mate. So those biases that I was talking about were from CBTE treatment, Cognitive Behavioural Therapy Enhanced, which is like eating disorder, CBT. And I also have another couple of books about body image, but I haven't actually read them yet. So Women Don't Owe You Pretty and Beyond Beautiful. But once I've read them, I'll share them. And I also mentioned like Instagram account, and I think the environment you create yourself, digitally and in person, is also so important with comparison. Because if I started like hanging out at the gym or going to CrossFit or hanging out in places where people are overly focused on or overly valuing body, then it probably wouldn't help me to embrace this being more than a body, and also recognizing that body diversity exists in the world. And I really think the same online too, like following people who fill you up, make you feel good about yourself, and also just represent things beyond the body. Like, body isn't everything. You know, like travel accounts, dog accounts, arts and crafts, interior design, whatever your interests are, like just things that take your focus away from body aesthetics. And then unfollowing the people that you do end up comparing to or feeling jealous of. Yeah, unfollow those accounts. And I've written down a couple of the people I follow on Instagram that have just helped me create like a healthy digital environment. I'll just read them and then I'll list them in the notes. Like, I don't know what it's called, the blurb bit on YouTube. The bit below this video. Like the female lead, Bryony Gordon, Dove, they do some really good stuff around like filtering. Molly J. Forbes, who focuses on like body positive parenting. Danae Mercer, who kind of shows how people manipulate photos using poses and lighting and angles. Megan Krabby, dietitian Anna, Jules Von Het, I_way, sorry, Grace Victory, and I love a bit of Lizzo. Her music too, I think, is really cool for that. And if you're looking for people to follow, like you can literally just Google it, like Google body acceptance accounts or body neutrality. I'll maybe do an Instagram post as well actually and like list those people. But hopefully there's been something which is helpful for you, and I don't know when I'll record again, but I will try to not make the gaps so big. So lots of love until then.